Imagine opening your refrigerator and tossing out the egg yolks, skipping whole milk for a watery skim version, avoiding soy milk like it might rewrite your biology, and passing over frozen vegetables because they seem less real than the wilted greens in your crisper. For years, many of us have done exactly that, guided not by science, but by whispers passed around kitchens, headlines designed to shock, and well-meaning but outdated advice. Now, new findings are turning these long-held beliefs on their head, revealing that some of the most unfairly maligned foods on our plates are not only safe but packed with benefits we have been missing out on. Take the humble egg yolk, for instance. Once demonized as a cholesterol bomb waiting to clog arteries, it has spent decades exiled to the compost bin while egg whites enjoyed a solo spotlight in omelets and protein shakes. But recent large-scale research tracking eating habits across diverse populations tells a different story. Far from being a dietary villain, the yolk emerges as a nutritional treasure chest. It carries the lion's share of the egg's protein, along with vital nutrients like vitamin A for vision and immunity, iron for energy, and choline, a compound essential for brain function that many people do not get enough of. The body regulates cholesterol far more intricately than once believed, and for most people, dietary cholesterol from whole eggs has little impact on blood cholesterol levels. In fact, moderate consumption may even support heart health over time. The real risk may not be eating yolks, but skipping them altogether. Then there are canned goods, often dismissed as the last resort of pantry fillers or emergency rations. Many assume these shelf-stable items are swimming in mysterious preservatives and stripped of nutrition during processing. But here is the surprising truth. In most regulated food systems, traditional canned fruits and vegetables do not require added preservatives at all. The canning process itself, sealing food in airtight containers and heating them, acts as a natural preservative, locking out bacteria and spoilage. Even more striking, studies comparing canned produce to fresh reveal that nutrient loss is minimal. Vitamin C, fiber, and key antioxidants remain largely intact, especially when compared to fresh produce that may sit in transit or on store shelves for days or even weeks before reaching the kitchen. A can of tomatoes, beans, or peaches bought from a trusted brand can be just as nourishing as its fresh counterpart, sometimes more so, particularly in seasons when local produce is scarce or expensive. The key is choosing products without excessive salt or sugar and inspecting cans for dents or bulges that could signal compromise. Frozen vegetables face a similar stigma. They are often seen as inferior, convenient, yes, but nutritionally lacking. Yet the reality is almost the opposite. Most frozen vegetables are harvested at peak ripeness and flash frozen within hours, a process that halts enzymatic activity and locks in vitamins, minerals, and color. Compare that to fresh vegetables that may be picked before they are fully ripe, shipped across continents, and displayed under bright lights for days before purchase. By the time they reach your plate, their nutrient content may have significantly declined. Broccoli, peas, spinach, and corn, when frozen properly, retain over 90% of their original nutrients. While delicate leafy greens like lettuce do not freeze well, sturdier vegetables thrive in the freezer aisle. For busy households or those seeking year-round access to affordable produce, frozen options are not a compromise. They are a smart, science-backed strategy for maintaining a nutrient-rich diet. Whole milk has also been caught in the crosshairs of diet culture. For decades, low-fat or skim versions were pushed as the healthier choice, especially for those watching their weight or managing heart health. But removing fat from milk does more than just cut calories. It strips away fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, which require dietary fat for absorption. It also removes the creamy texture and satisfying richness that make milk enjoyable to drink. Surprisingly, the actual calorie difference between whole and skim milk is modest, roughly the same as half a boiled egg per serving. Emerging research even suggests that full-fat dairy may be linked to lower risks of obesity and type 2 diabetes, possibly because the fat promotes fullness and reduces the urge to snack on refined carbohydrates later. Rather than fearing the fat in whole milk, we might consider it a natural part of a balanced diet that supports nutrient uptake and satiety. Perhaps no food has been more misunderstood than soy milk. Rumors have swirled for years that it disrupts hormones, causes developmental issues in children, or increases cancer risk in women. These fears stem from soy's content of phytoestrogens, plant compounds that resemble human estrogen but behave very differently in the body. Unlike synthetic hormones or even the body's own estrogen, phytoestrogens are weak and selective. They do not simply flood the system with estrogenic activity. Instead, they act as modulators, binding to estrogen receptors only when the body's own levels are low, and blocking stronger estrogens when levels are high. This balancing effect may explain why populations with high soy consumption, such as in parts of Asia, show lower rates of certain hormone-related cancers and better cardiovascular outcomes. Decades of clinical research have found no evidence that moderate soy intake harms thyroid function, fertility, or child development. In fact, soy milk offers a high-quality plant-based protein, heart-healthy fats, and essential nutrients like calcium and vitamin D when fortified, making it a valuable option for those avoiding dairy. What ties all these foods together is a common thread. They have been judged not by what they are, but by oversimplified narratives that ignore biological complexity and real-world evidence. Nutrition science is not static. It evolves as better tools and larger studies emerge. Yet public perception often lags behind, stuck in the era of single-nutrient thinking. Fat is bad, cholesterol is dangerous, processed means unhealthy. But food is more than the sum of its parts. An egg yolk is not just cholesterol, it is a matrix of proteins, fats, and micronutrients working in concert. A can of beans is not just sodium, it is fiber, plant protein, and resilience against food waste. Frozen peas are not second best. They are a triumph of food technology that brings summer harvests to winter tables without loss. The deeper lesson here is about trust, whom we listen to, and how we interpret information. In an age of viral headlines and social media myths, it is easy to mistake fear for caution and restriction for virtue. But true health comes not from eliminating entire food groups based on rumor, but from embracing variety, moderation, and evidence. The foods we once avoided might just be the ones our bodies need most. So the next time you stand in the grocery aisle, hesitating between whole and skim milk, or wondering whether to buy fresh or frozen broccoli, remember this: nature did not design food to be parsed into good and bad components. It designed it to nourish. And science, when followed carefully and without bias, often leads us back to what our grandparents might have known instinctively, that real food, in its many forms, is meant to be eaten whole, enjoyed fully, and trusted deeply. The greatest myth of all may be the idea that healthy eating requires fear. In truth, it thrives on understanding, curiosity, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing your food, and your body, well. If this opened your eyes to the truth behind some of your kitchen staples, you're not alone. So much of what we've been told about food comes from half-truths, outdated studies, or flat-out myths, and it's time we set the record straight. Don't let fear dictate your diet. Instead, let curiosity guide you toward a more balanced, informed, and delicious way of eating. If you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who still tosses their egg yolks, and hit subscribe so you never miss another myth-busting deep dive. Because when it comes to food and health, knowledge isn't just power, it's nourishment.